This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it's time for Avoid the Maze. You know, life is a maze. We sort of have this plan, we take out this map, and we say, this is the direction I'm going. But sometimes there's a detour, or sometimes we just hit a brick wall and we're not sure where to go. Should we try to climb over the wall or go around it? Well, you know what? If this sounds familiar to you, then you are normal. And I think we can clap and say hooray for that, because so many of us think we're the only ones who are getting stuck. My guest today is Christian. And Christian, I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce your last name. I'll let you do that in a minute. And Christian has been on a mission to improve health and quality of life. And you know what? I think we all should be on that mission, because if we start feeling better about ourselves, we're going to feel better about everything else around us. So welcome, Christian, and give us a little bit of a background.
Thank you, Karen. It's Yordanov, by the way. You can't mess it up any way you say it. Yeah, thank you. Great to be on with you. Yeah, I'm actually originally from Eastern Europe, from Bulgaria, which is a country not many people outside of Europe know much about. And I've lived in a few different countries over my life: Ireland, South Africa, um, and now I'm in Portugal. So I've been around a little bit, and I kind of meandered a lot through my 20s, really just being very unproductive and basically wasting my time and my life and my health. And it was kind of in my early 30s when I saw my, especially my grandmother's deterioration before she died. She had a few strokes, we think three or four, and just the last maybe several years of her life were really kind of basically torture. You know, I would hate to have to live through that, what she lived through. Um, she was a very strong woman. She was born in the 30s and a very strong woman. And my granddad, his health deterioration, she looked after him all throughout it. And basically when he passed away, that kind of pushed her over the edge. That's when she had her first stroke, and um it just kind of everything deteriorated for her from there on. So I saw that kind of from afar away. She eventually went to live with my mother in Ireland, where I was at the time, and I would see her once in a while. How difficult for her was to communicate, just to string a sentence together, a basic sentence, and to look after herself. And I said to myself, God damn, I would take myself out if I ever get to that stage. I would like go for a jog in the ocean or something, you know. I just cannot let that happen to me. But it was very much on the cards because of my horrendous lifestyle. So I started trying to fix all my terrible habits: diet, drinking, you know, smoking. I was smoking cigarettes and everything you can think of. I did 2 years on the night shift as well. That really messed me up. I had gray hair in my mid 20s already, and um, that caused me to get really deep into the health side of things, and I got really deep into it. So deep that I've actually written two books on health right now. One is on autism, one is on longevity. I just published that about 3 months ago. It's called How to Actually Live Longer, Volume 1. And what I noticed is, as I started getting healthier, as I started improving all these aspects of my life: sleep, diet, supplementation, all the stuff, um, I a lot of that energy that I always had, it just seemed to kind of increase even more. And I really felt like it's important to channel it in a productive way. So people like me, if they don't channel all this energy, if we don't channel all this energy we have, we can really become very self-destructive. It can be channeled towards very destructive sort of means or ways. So that's what got me onto the health journey and becoming a health practitioner. And I knew very early on this was kind of part of why I came here in this particular time, in this particular situation. I had to go through all of this uh, sort of darkness to come out on the other end. So now when I work with clients who have dug themselves into a hole, so to speak, health wise, after maybe 4 or 5 or 6 even decades of just suboptimal living, let's just put it that way, I can empathize with them because I've been there. I've had worse habits than they have in most cases, and I can empathize how sort of difficult it can be for a while to reshape your lifestyle, your diet, where you shop, all that good stuff. So I really think that's kind of it had to happen, as painful as it was for myself and for my parents to see. Yeah,
It's interesting because so many of us um, have gone through at least some of the things you've gone through. Okay. So I'm going to start just with, you know, basic diet. You know, if you have family that is from Eastern Europe, food is what family was all about. And I know growing up, um, there was always plenty to eat on the table, even when my parents were struggling. There was always dessert, and you're always told, clean your plate. And if you didn't like what was on it, still had to clean it before you get something else that you liked. So
yeah,
many of us have had weight and health problems related to our weight. And yet there's another group of people who look at us and say, well, just stop eating that stuff. Well, when it becomes routine and that's your lifestyle,
yeah,
it's very hard for somebody to just say, well, stop it.
yeah.
Because number one, you have to realize what it's doing to yourself. And how is it making me feel?
Hmm.
I mean, there are some people who like being in a bigger body and they truly are happy. And there are many of us who keep saying, no, I've got to do the healthy things. So you started seeing it because of your grandmother. Okay. And she obviously had enough strength to take care of your grandfather, but probably during the time that she was taking care of him, she certainly was not taking care of herself
Oh,
because he was number one.
yeah. Well, she honestly, and I talk about it a little bit in my book. I don't think she ever took good care of herself. Basically, at least for the last, I guess, 3 or 4 decades, because she would always put herself last. And I think that is also not healthy, right?
Right.
You cannot do that. And a lot of moms fall into that trap of sacrificing everything for the kids or the family. And but she would kind of do it over the top, not to show, oh, how she didn't have this sort of ego of there was no agenda behind her giving everything, from herself. There was really no agenda, no ego, no sort of passive aggression or anything like that. And that kind of is quite rare to see in today's world. I really think everyone has an ulterior motive. Even I'll tell you, to be perfectly honest, my sort of motive for doing the work I do is because I want one day people to be like, oh, Christian, you're a great man, you've done all this good for the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to
Oh,
be like famous and rich because of all the good work I've done. So we all have this thing, but in with her I never really saw that, which was quite amazing. And but that's the problem, because she would eat very little. She would skip a lot of meals. she would um she would eat a lot of sunflower oil, which I think is where a lot of her problems started, because we would fry everything in sunflower oil, margarine, and meatballs,
yep.
potato fries, and then it will drizzle the salads with it. And geez, I can't think of anything that we didn't use that oil in. And this is one of the biggest sort of drivers of disease and obesity nowadays, right?
Right.
One of the biggest, if not the biggest. So it's yeah, she always put herself last, and that is why I believe she kind of suffered as well. I think if we can, as they say, as my sister-in-law would say, you need to fill your own cup. before he can give to others. So I personally, I'm always making sure I'm well fed. I'm taking my supplements. I'm trying to rest well, make sure I don't miss on sleep, because I have to show up several times a week for my clients. I have to show up for my kid, my wife. Right now, actually, my wife is in bed for maybe 3 or 4 days. She had a pretty horrific back injury, and she's basically incapacitated for 3 4 days. She's now getting up on her own the last day, and but they had to cancel a trip with my daughter to visit family because of it. So if I if I don't take good care of myself, I won't be able to help her and come here, do interviews and work with my clients and work on other projects. So yeah, I think this is something where we have to really teach people what does it actually mean to look after yourself, because it's not always what people think it is.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So you noticed some things in your behaviors that you didn't like. You said you were overeating, you weren't getting exercise, you were drinking. What's the first step you took? I mean, you didn't throw all the bad habits away in the morning and immediately start with the good habits, because
Yeah,
that's sort of hard to do all at once.
that's that's pretty damn impossible, I think I would even say. Um, yeah, it's you really have to, the way there's a lot of back and forth, 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, and sometimes you have a setback, like if let's say, touch wood, a family member passes away. Well, a lot of someone that's been on the path of, let's say, sobriety or whatever else, eating clean for months, that's still not ingrained super well in their lifestyle. They could regress, but you have to cut yourself some slack if something happens like that, because I think one of the worst sort of traps that we can get into is this absolutism. If I don't do it perfectly, then I don't do it at all. And this is how I used to do it. If you lapse one day, let's say one day you don't do the new habit, or you have a drink one day or a cigarette, the next day you're back on 20 pack a day or whatever. So um, I really think you have to, when it comes to improving your habits and your lifestyle, you really have to replace things. So you have to find something that's so much better than lighting a cigarette, right? For
Right.
example, you could start doing breathing exercises, and then as you have more breath, as you get kind of that amazing feeling of relaxation on your own without an exogenous chemical, that is way more awesome than poisoning yourself, because as a previous smoker, that first cigarette, half of that first cigarette in the morning is nice, and then when you're drinking is nice once in a while, but people just chain smoke, especially in Ireland, when you go out drinking, people just chain smoke, and there's no real pleasure from it. It's kind of just, you feel gross, and then you wake up in the middle of the night with a dry mouth, or like after a lot of drinks, you wake up with a dry mouth, and you want to like you have this horrible taste in your mouth. People don't enjoy these things. And if you've been off of alcohol for a while, that first drink or two, before you start kind of getting used to it again, you can feel it poisoning you. And it's a very shoddy feeling. So the trick is, do stuff that is more rewarding in and of itself. Like it all depends on what you like to do and who you are. But for me, things like just I actually, for me, you have to really sort of, I had to twist my own arm when it comes to habit change, right? So I would like spend a couple $100, let's say, on some supplements. So then I've got the supplements, and I'm taking these supplements. So at this point, if I start eating like crap, like Doritos or some tortilla chips or whatever, I'm like, wait, I'm taking all these supplements. I've invested all this money. Am I just gonna waste it? So you have to sort of put little things in your path, or you get yourself some nice bit of equipment. Let's say you get yourself, I don't know if you're a dude, you get yourself a bench and a barbell, and then you put it in like your garage or somewhere in your living room, and you're like, okay, well, I got this. I spent $300 $400 on this, and I haven't used it in a week. I better start. So it's about, or you might get a nice bike that will kind of get you to get out more. It's not just about the exercise, it's about getting out in the daylight, in the sunshine, away from radiation, away from all the household dust and potentially mold and plasticizers in the air, which most of us don't realize we're breathing. So you have to kind of put incentives in your way. So it's kind of like chasing the carrot instead of the stick model,
Right.
where you punish yourself.
It's interesting because a couple years ago, I was getting short of breath. My doctors couldn't figure it out why. They ran me on every kind of test they could run me on, and it was like, you're healthy. But
Yeah.
I'd walk up half of my staircase, which is only 11 steps, okay?
Wow.
But by 5 or 6, it just felt like drudgery. And so they put me on a medication, which really is, I mean, it like helped miraculously. But I realized I don't want to depend on the medication. And so we have a stationary bike, and I've used it. I haven't used it, but that was the day that I said, you know what? I'm going to use it. Number one, it costs us a lot of money. Number two, I don't want to hang our clothes on it anymore. And number three, what if I start to feel better? And once I realized I was feeling better, it was like, okay, now I'm going to make this a routine for me. This is part of what I like to do. But I connected it to finding something on TV at a certain time of day that would distract me enough while I rode my bike for a half hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I do that at least 5 days a week. But I do give
Nice.
myself the grace to say, you know what? You don't have to do it every day. But when I don't ride the bike, I find other things that provide
Yeah.
the same stimulation.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw that doctor, about a week ago. And he said to me, so do you think we should wean you off the medication? And I said, I'd like to try.
Yeah.
And he took me off. He didn't actually wean me. He said, don't take any more. Call me in a week and tell me how you feel. I'm riding the bike longer than I had been.
Wow.
And
That's amazing.
again, I made it part of me. Okay. I'm not riding the bike because my husband wants me to lose weight. I'm not riding it because the doctor told me I had to.
Mm.
I'm riding it because it gets those endorphins going. And if that
Yeah.
makes me feel good, that's the first step.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
A good way to gauge whether you should do something or not is, if you were the last person on earth, would you do it? So think about it this way: would I, let's say, from in my case, would I read books? Hell yeah. Would I go out, walk into the sun, in the sunshine? Yes, I would. Would I play with my dog? Pretend there's no other people? Yes, I would. Would I take my supplement? Here's the other stuff. Would I take my supplements? Am I taking it for somebody else to impress them? No, no, I'm not. Would I try to eat clean? Yes, I would. Would I try to get the right hydration into me? So, would you stretch more to kind of limber up your body? Would you sleep a lot? Yes, you would. So think about it. But here's something, actually, because all those things are kind of obvious, right? I don't want to be like uh, pedantic about it, but think about it this way: would I want to pump my muscles up to kingdom come? No, because why are we? Why are a lot of us doing these things? Um, you have big muscles, or having a six pack, it's kind of to impress other people, because usually it takes quite a lot of effort. Now, having decent fitness, aerobic and otherwise, having decent strength so you can walk the stairs no problem, or you can bring home your grocery bags without help, that's totally fine and dandy. um but I think a little bit our society is a little bit, I don't want to say sick, but it's kind of a bit of a sickness where, especially the younger folks, we are chasing being an unhealthy level of muscular or fit or strong or lean. And at the end of the day, if you, let's say, just because I understand the numbers for men slightly better, for a man, 15% body fat is perfectly healthy, right? You need to have 10% body fat to have a six pack, a good six pack, let's say. Anything under that is very unhealthy. If you're 15%, or let's say for a woman, you're 25% body fat and you're perfectly healthy, you look fine, you're not super ripped, but you're not, you're not overweight or anything. You look totally fine. I think most people, if there wasn't all of this societal conditioning, would be perfectly content. Like back in the day, like back in the day, our grand folks, they were s- fairly slender, but they weren't like ripped or super muscular, super strong, and nobody seemed to give a damn. But
Right.
now, we there's these very unrealistic standards, because even these models that put themselves through torture to get to that level, either of leanness or muscularity or whatever, shreddedness, not only do they put themselves through torture and then they dehydrate themselves and do a bunch of other stuff, their pictures are still getting touched up by the Photoshop
Right.
experts of the magazine or whatever. So not only is it super unrealistic to do all of that, it's enhanced digitally as well. It's crazy.
Well, it's interesting. I read an article not too long ago about a gentleman who became a bodybuilder, and he's all muscle, and he needed to have surgery. And they had a very tough time opening him up for surgery because everything was so taut
Jeez.
and trying just to get through the muscle to get to the organ. Okay. And my son is big on working out. And I made sure he read the article. I said, you want to get fit to be healthy. That's good. You want to get fit because there's some, fat pockets that you really don't like, but do it the healthy way. And he is,
Yeah.
um, he has a gym that he goes to, and he goes there 3, maybe 4 times a week.
How old is he?
But the other days that he's not there, those are his down days. And it
And
doesn't
how
mean,
old is he?
oh, he's going to be 33.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. 3, 4 times a week is very, very reasonable. On the bright side, that bodybuilder guy, if he got shot, maybe he could stop the bullet with all that muscle. So
You're talking about our current society issues right now. I get it.
yeah. Oh my
So,
God.
what kind of transformation did your family see when you, like, the light went on? You said, okay, I'm going to start making these changes.
Well, actually, around that time, I moved to Portugal here with my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time, and they didn't really see much of a. I mean, they saw I published a book eventually. Now I published my second book. I think this is a problem. Again, when you really want to when you want to transform, not just change slightly, but transform yourself, your life, your career, your trajectory of your faith and all that stuff. Um, I think a lot of friends and family, close friends and family, can actually hold you back. So, I think they still see me as the old me, reckless and irresponsible. So, and I'm kind of the youngest kid in my family of all my cousins and stuff. So they always look at me like the kid, like a baby.
Yeah,
So they will never probably change their perception of me, and I that's the beautiful part. When the older you get, the less you give a damn,
yeah,
Karen, right?
that's true.
The
You
less you
are
give a
so
damn.
right. Yeah,
So that's totally fine with me. Once you see, this is the beauty of, once you know you're on your path, once you are comfortable with who you are, living in your own skin, with your choices and the impact you're making on the world, then anyone can say anything, and they can whatever, you know they can do whatever they want, say whatever they want, as long as you're staying true to yourself and your values and principles. Then you don't give a damn. You don't care.
well, and we also have to remember, as far as we know, we only have this life to live. And if we only have this life to live, why aren't we doing the best that we can? And it doesn't mean that every day is going to be sunshine and lollipops and rainbows, because it won't be. But if you can start out your day saying, I'm going to do my best today, it's so rewarding because your brain starts thinking about what are the things I really need to do. Um, and typically that's how I start my day. When I don't start my day that way, I get interrupted with, my husband getting ready for work or the phone rings or something. I can't understand why I feel like I'm not accomplishing anything.
Yeah.
And it's those days that I tend to binge on the things that I shouldn't be eating.
Yeah.
But I don't beat myself up. I used to, but I don't anymore. It's like, what good is that going to do? Okay,
Mm,
what did you do right yesterday to be the best? What didn't you do? And I'm not going to say what did you do wrong. What didn't I do? And then the next day, focus on that.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't drink enough of my water. Okay. Um, I drank too many cups of coffee. I was
That's me every
baking.
day.
Yeah, yeah. I was baking and, eating all the dough, whatever. Um,
Yeah,
okay, so today I'm not going to bake it. I'm not going to eat the dough, and um, I'm going to conserve on the coffee. I'm going to drink more water, and all of a sudden, I just feel like I'm accomplishing things. And that
yeah,
doesn't mean being successful and making money. It means being
yeah.
successful and living my best life for the day.
I agree. I think the success, the way again, I'm not blaming, I'm not blaming the common person because this has been engineered in society. So for us, we're conditioned to think of success as zeros in your on your bank account, maybe your how new is your car, how many cars you have, how many houses, how big is your house, all that stuff, right? But what is really success in life, and also health? Again, it goes back to what we discussed earlier. What is health? Either super muscular, super lean, super slender, super strong. That no, again, those people in those magazines and on those shows and whatever, they're actually, when they're in those states, they're actually at their least healthy psychologically as well. Because when you starve yourself, oh my God, I don't know if you've been on a diet, but I have, and it's horrible. Or when you fast. So success and health are things like how well do you sleep, your libido, how well do you how are you interacting with other people, what do you want to do in life, sort of um uh, your mood. If your mood is very up and down, that's clearly not healthy. And you might have millions in the bank, but if you feel like crap, or you're manic depressive, or whatever, or just really angry all the time for because you're so stressed, well, you might be rich, but you're not successful. You know what I mean? And you're definitely not healthy. So what one thing I was gonna say is I actually believe that we are reincarnating here multiple times. I've kind of delved into it quite a bit. I've interviewed some guys on my podcast that are philosophers and so on that have studied it, and I honestly believe that the so there's one guy I interviewed. His first book was all about reincarnation, and Christopher Beish, and he just says, I believe, after all, after going through all the accounts of young children that have remembered their past lives, uh, that were compiled by a gentleman called Ian Stevenson. You can get some of these books on Amazon. So the guy said, after reading all of that, all of those accounts, I now believe reincarnation is a fact of life, and I also believe reincarnation is a part of uh, our life cycle. And if it wasn't, if it wasn't, I don't think I would be doing what I do now, because I'm not doing what I'm doing right now. I'm not doing it for the success I will get in this lifetime. It might not happen, given how unsuccessful my first book was, and how all the struggles and difficulties I've had. I might not get the success here, but maybe I'm thinking maybe the good karma I cultivate here will propel me to more favorable circumstances in the next life, and I can build on that. But it gets even deeper than that. It could be that we're having multiple lives potentially in multiple worlds, multiple dimensions, and there's this concept of the not the soul but the oversoul that is kind of like experiencing all of these things. So at the end of it, it could be we are all one being, and we're just kind of tiny fragments of it. Like you are a cell in a much bigger organism, and I'm a cell, and we're both part of that organism, and that could be at the universal level, it could be one conscious organism, which is actually very possible, and you could call that God or whatever you want to call it. Um, so that's what drives me. To be honest with you, Karen, if if I didn't have that driving me, that sort of belief and conviction, not a religious belief, but a conviction given scientific
Sure.
or empirical accounts and all that research I've done. Um, Otherwise, if it was just like a Big Bang theory reality where we're like a expanding universe that will eventually die, the sun will explode and consume the earth, and you're just a glorified monkey that kind of by accident evolved. If it was that, if it was this materialistic idea, if I believed that, then I would just be a hedonist, just trying to get as much pleasure, and then you just in that case, you all you care is about yourself and your needs and desires. And when you and again, I believe this is another sort of social engineering ploy to make people more materialistic and sort of driven by materialistic goals and desires, like we're seeing right now. If you look at all the rappers, the music industry, the Hollywood actors, what are they promoting? It's looks, beauty, money, status, power. And if you believed in, multiple lives and karma, and what you do here you impacts the next life, I think a lot of people would make very different choices.
I, you know, I've never thought about reincarnation as a reality. Um, I don't doubt it, but I don't, and maybe I should start reading up on it because it sounds like I'm missing out on some very interesting
It's
data.
very interesting, yeah.
But the one thing that I will say, for almost the first 50 years of my life, I was walking through life pleasing people. And I'm not going to say I wasn't happy, but not happy like I've been for the last 10 plus years.
Hmm.
Because when I realized that I wasn't always making other people happy, I was trying. When I didn't make them happy, I was sad. When I did make them happy, but they sort of like went off on their own, I was sad again. It's like, well, hey, look what I did for you. You didn't recognize it.
Yeah.
But when I started podcasting and writing, that's when I started to realize this has to be about me. And it's not my ego, because if it was my ego, I'd be making big money after 10 years of podcasting. It's not what it's about. It's about reaching out to people like you, learning from you, seeing, different things that I might be able to do, and then sharing them with a whole nother group of people.
Mm,
And, sometimes I want to say, Karen, hey, why'd you waste the first 50 years of your life? But the reality is I didn't waste it, because now I can look back at those experiences and understand why I did certain things. And if that's not where I want to be, then I'm going to look at that maze and I'm going to make some right and left turns until I get down the path that's working for me. And what works for me today may not be the same next week or a year from now or 5 years from now.
yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of us beat ourselves up about. Well, I planned on being at this company for 25 years, and then I planned on retiring and sitting on the bank of the lake and fishing all day. And okay, the company didn't keep you because the company folded, or the company didn't keep you because they wanted to pay less. So you need to keep evolving.
Yeah.
But too many of us come back home and we sit on our chair and we whine about, hey, why me? And I did that for 50 years. I will be the first one to admit it, but not
Mm,
anymore. And
yeah.
there's nothing special about me except for the fact that I want to live my best life each day, because I don't know when my last day is going to be.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think I don't even strive for perfection anymore because it's so far out now. The older I get, kind of the more realistic I am about these things. All these pipe dreams as a kid, they kind of get a little bit crushed. If you I think if you get lucky early in life, that actually there was a great saying. What was it? Quick success breeds ego. Slow success breeds character. So I think if you get lucky early in life, it's like when you go into the casino and you win the first time you play slots, that can turn you into a gambling addict, you know, because you're chasing the dragon. But if you stumble and you fall, you're like, okay, you either give up or you will, let's say if it's poker, you will learn the rules of the game, you will learn to read other players, and you will kind of uh, develop the meta game of the game. So I think for me, it's the reason I've had so many sort of setbacks is I think the universe is trying to teach me a lesson. Don't be so cocky. Just be more humble and try to, try to make sure you're doing things for the right reasons, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't strive for perfection anymore. I'm just trying to get improve something, you know. What did I and every time there's a setback, I'm like, okay, what lesson can I learn from this? You know, and you just apply it to the next thing, and things, the quality of your work or your actions improves because of that, because you're kind of thinking about, you're not just banging your head against the wall every day. You figure out, okay, there's a wall here, maybe let me look, is there a window or a door that I can get through? If not, let me think of, should I be doing this? Maybe I need to be doing an entirely different set of things, set of actions.
Sounds wonderful. Well, how can our listeners find you? And, you might be the right coach for them. And as I tell, all my prospective coaching clients, look at, if I don't think I'm the best fit for you, I'm going to refer you to somebody else.
Yeah,
And if you don't think I'm the best fit for you, the same way.
yeah.
So we all have different personalities. We all want to, you know, get the assistance that we need in the best way. So how can we find you?
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate that. My website is christianyordanov.com. Just put my name into a search engine, it will come up. And I offer, so I basically work with people with some type of health issue. If you have a health issue, you've not been able to get help, I'm usually kind of the end of the line or at the last resort people come to. So I've seen a lot of complex cases with chronic and, just pretty complex stuff. So if anyone needs help on that front, you can book a free intro call with me on my website. I always like to get to know people a little bit, make sure we're a good fit to work together. And all of that, all my work, all my books and other courses are on the website.
Well, we're going to make sure that's all in the show notes. So for those of you listening and you said, hey, I missed something, just go to the show notes. That will lead you to Christian's website. And if he's the right fit for you, hey, contact him, have a session and see what it's all about, because we're very lucky in this day and age. We now have Zoom and we can be anywhere we want to be and still connect with people like
Yeah.
Christian. So thank you very much and wish your wife well. I hope that she's up and around soon and feeling much better. And
Thank you so
I'm
much,
I'm
Karen.
sure the kids would feel the same way. So
Thank you so much.
all right. Have a great day, Christian. Take
You
care
too.
now.
Thank you.